Hi, my name is Frank O'Connor.
Visual. Hunting.
I think that we've talked a lot about 60 frames per second, and people tend to think of it as an aesthetic improvement, but it's actually underlying the whole engine. So it's subtle, but you'll start to feel just more responsive input. And if you've played Halo for 14 years, you definitely come away with that feeling. I think things like clamber, thrust, ground pound, all fit really naturally in Halo. But I'm already at the stage where when I'm playing Halo Master Chief Collection, I'm also thinking about Halo 5 stuff and trying to sprint, for example, and doing stuff like that. So I think there's lots of really subtle improvements and lots of really big obvious improvements. But I think that the thing that I'm really excited about is us going back to big, expansive, explorable locations. That the new verticality in the game, the fact that you can clamber and boast and climb, means that we now think about our levels as vertical as well as kind of a horizontal plane of activity. And so it's funny watching players who haven't played it before think about it like old Halo and try to take really direct routes to things, and then seeing that light bulb go off above their head when they realize, well, I can really explore this level in ways that I didn't used to be able to do. So
所以就是其实这些我们有一些很细致的这个改进，特别是在引擎方面，那么其实是可以带来很大的不同的体验的。那另外一方面，我们不仅是在这些这些细致的方面，还有一些宏大的改变，比方说我们回归这个黑楼比较经典的这一部分。那么玩家可能是会发现它的玩法的话，不仅仅是不是简单的和原来比较，在比方说关卡上成绩上有一个提高，它其实是一个用另外一种方式可以做到提高的一个优势玩法。
And I think the biggest fundamental difference, and one that happens so smoothly that you sometimes don't think about it, is this is the first Halo game built from the ground up for co-op. We've always supported co-op, but it's been kind of an addition. Our game design utilizes and relies on co-op regardless. We have an amazing AI system that means that if you don't have friends available to play right now, you're going to be playing with very smart, very capable AI stand-ins for those real-life players, to the point where you kind of don't notice when they drop in and drop out, which they can, because they always feel like human players, and quite skilled human players, maybe a little more polite than real human players.
就是说你还会发现我们在这个游戏里面有更多的这个合作模式、协作模式。另外，我们还强化了它的人工智能的这一块，所以就是你可能不会觉得它是它其实是 AI，而不是真实的这个人的这个情况。
And also there are squad mechanics in the game now, so that you can actually give squad orders using the D-pad. Fairly simple, but ultimately quite important when you're in the battlefield and you need to be revived, or you want one of your squad members to go flank the enemy. And it's subtle, but it's really quick and really easy to master.
在小队模式上面，你其实可以通过手柄来发这个命令。那这是一个非常细致的一个点，但其实它是非常方便的。
So the funny thing is that he's well described in the fiction. The Fall of Reach novel came out before the game, and so he was actually described. You know, he's pale, very very pale. I mean, you know, from some of the augmentation effects. He has light-colored eyes, shaved head. He's very handsome, obviously. But I think. I have a pretty distinct vision of the Chief, and this is very common, so don't take this the wrong way. People think of themselves as the Chief, and I think the fact that you don't see his face actually makes him a more relatable character in some ways, because you could be a girl and think of yourself as the Chief. He's not a character where you're continually looking at him and thinking, well, that's not me, I'm playing someone else's story. You get to immerse yourself in that armor and then the suit, and it feels like you're the one having the adventure. So my quick answer is, he looks like me.
我先讲他最后讲的那句，就是说，他说，简单的讲，就是其实他长得有点像我。那其实就说是这样，就是他认为就是 在这个游戏的同名小说里面，其实已经讲得蛮细致了。比方说他长得很英俊，他的脸有些苍白。那么我们之所以没有在游戏里面把他那个让他拿下他的这个头盔，让大家看得很清楚的，其实是我们是希望就是每个人心里都可以有一个这个士官长，哪怕你是一个你小女生，你也可以想象你是一个士官长，那么你可以很有代入感。
And on October 27th in the U.S. and the rest of the world, that we also released the limited edition with an adaptation of that novel, an animated movie basically of that novel, where you'll see the young chief quite frequently in it. You'll see his face and learn a little bit more about him. But I'm not spoiling anything by saying you don't get to see him as an adult in that show. So.
对，就是在10月份我们还会上市的是一个。就是你会看到，就是士官长年轻时候的这个样子。
And I realize that it's in some ways frustrating for Chinese gamers to have to wait for stuff like that. But the Fall of Reach, don't know what the international distribution plans are, but we're going to release it on DVD and digital separately quite soon after the game, so they won't have to wait too long.
You mean the Fall of Reach?
Fall of Reach animation, yeah.
Okay. Fall of Reach 我们会有一个这个动画，我们会有一个 DVD 的版本出现。那么在这个里面可以看到更多关于这个士官长的事情。
So the Elite controller is still effectively in beta form in terms of the software app that you use to remap controls and stuff. But we hope to have some presets that are in that app that you use to customize your controller. They're very Halo specific. But otherwise, it's really just about quality of hardware and features that are usable by any kind of game. So the trigger locks, I don't know if you're familiar with the controller, but it has little locks that they call hair trigger locks that reduce the amount of movement on the triggers. That's perfect for Halo because then there's no analog controls on shooting in Halo, and so what we want is the fastest possible path and least wasted energy. And it sounds really granular, but it makes a huge difference at the very, very high level of competitive play, and it's even increased some of my stats just because I'm not wasting energy on pulling those triggers too far.
就是目前呢，我们其实精英中队还处在一个beta 测试的一个阶段。那么它会有一个应用一个 APP。那么我们会在这个 APP 里面有一些预制的这个键位，这样可以更好的玩这个游戏。那么从硬件的这个性能角度来讲呢，它有一个这个扳机，它是可以就是我们叫了一个毛发锁定那个扳机，它其实是它虽然是一个很小的这个设计上的改动，但其实很好的可以帮助你提高你的这个就是在游戏中的表现，对他来说是可以很好的提高游戏中的这个表现的这个数据的。
Nothing to reveal right now, but I mean we're already starting work on the next game. I mean as we're polishing and iterating and doing performance enhancements on Halo 5, but we're already meeting weekly and having story discussions about the next game and design discussions about the next game. You know, it's our games take about 3 years to make, so it's this constantly kind of evolving set of discussions about what's next. But we've already started elements of sort of pre-production thought and philosophy for the next game.
其实我现在没有什么新的信息可以向大家透露，但是我们现在在进一步打磨这个Halo 5光环5，但是与此同时，我们已经开始了下一代作品的这个一些概念上的一些设计上的讨论。那我们的游戏一般会至少要3年时间才能设计出来，所以我们一直在考虑下一代的作品。
So my first ChinaJoy, and I'm looking forward to coming back again next year.